Hi everybody! So I'm going to be reteaching you how to do an extended constructed response. Typically, extended constructed responses would be after a few multiple choice questions. You're going to see something that looks like this. So here you'll see that number 5 is an extended constructed response because you'll see where it says, explain how the events in Sonia Sotomayor's life caused her to succeed. Whenever you have those questions that have all of these words here, along with those bullets, that's where you can find your extended constructed response. I used one of my students' papers here, and she had to remind herself that right there at the bottom is not the prompt. It's always going to start off with explain. So it could be explain why, explain how, and that's going to be your indicator on your prompt. And again, a prompt is going to be something that you're going to be writing about. So we're going to say, what happened in her life that led her to succeeding in her future? So if you read this text, you would be able to see that she faced a few challenges, and then after that, she wanted more and she wanted to change her life, and that's what led her to succeed. So let's go ahead and create a draft. Okay, this is going to be my paper that I'm going to be using for my ECR draft. I already sectioned it in 4 squares, and that's going to be my 4 paragraphs. So at the top, I'm going to leave that blank because I'm going to put the prompt there. Now that I have my prompt at the top, I'm going to identify my question words. And that's just telling me which words I can take out in order to formulate a response. So I'm going to take out explain how, because if I were to cover the rest, that part up, I would be able to say the events in Sonia's life caused her to succeed, and that's going to be acting as my sentence starter. So I'm not going to be putting that sentence starter in my introduction yet because this is just my draft. This is not going to be the final product. The draft is going to be much shorter, it's going to have baby words, and it's going to be overall pretty messy. Because when I type it out, that's when I'm going to identify some of those mistakes that I made here and then change them up when I type it out. Now that I have my question words taken out, I have my sentence starter, and now I just need to think of 2 reasons of how those events in her life led to her success. So the first one that I'm going to be using is that her mom worked long hours. And then my second reason is going to be her doing a great job in school. Now that I have my 2 reasons, now I'm going to move on to my body 1. So that's going to be my second paragraph because the first one is called your introduction. So I'm going to first start off with my reason, and then cite, and then extend. Here, I'm going to move over reason 1. Now that reason 1 is there, now I can move on to my cite. That's where I'm going to be looking for evidence of her mom working long hours. Okay, now that I have my text open and in front of me, I can see in paragraph 2, it says that her mother worked long hours as a nurse to support Sonia and her brother. So to me, because of her mom doing that, that was motivation for Sonia in order to succeed later on because her mom sacrificed so much of her time. To me, she is kind of returning that favor and becoming a better product of what her mom put out for her. So I'm going to be writing that as my evidence, but I'm not going to be writing all of that for my draft. When I type it out, I will write all of that, but for my draft, all I'm going to do is write the bare minimum, because drafts are not supposed to take a long time. What I like to do is highlight the sentence, and then I'm going to write the first couple of words and also the paragraph number, so I know where to find it for later when I'm typing it out. Now that I have identified my evidence, I'm going to put right here, paragraph 2. And this right here is just the sign for paragraph. I'm going to write paragraph 2, and then in quotations, I'm going to write, her mother worked ... That tells me I'm not done with that evidence, but I'm going to go back when I type it out and then type out the whole sentence. Now I'm going to move on to my extend or explain. That's what's going to prove to the audience that my reasons back up this prompt right here. In other words, I need to say why this evidence right here matters to this reason. So what I'm going to write is the fact that her mother working hard was more motivation for Sonia to succeed later on. There are sentence starters that we can use for explain or extend, such as, this tells me that, this proves to me, this shows me. For this one, I'm not going to write any because, again, this is a draft. When I actually type it out, then I'll add in those transition phrases or those sentence starters that help fill in the gaps. Now I'm going to move on to my reason 2, which, as a reminder, was worked hard in school. To me, because she did that, that led to her being a leader on campus, then after that being a lawyer, and then a judge. So I'm going to carry over my reason 2 to my body 2. So I'm going to write, worked hard in school. Next, I need to find my evidence because remember, it's reason, cite, extend. So I'm going to go back to my text here and try to find where does it say that she worked hard in school? All right, now that you can see where I underlined it in paragraph 3, that's some evidence that I can be using for my reason 2. It says, she worked hard and earned a scholarship to Princeton University, one of the best colleges in the country. And then I didn't feel that in between was relevant to that evidence, so I didn't underline that. But then it moves on to her saying she studied even harder and became a leader on campus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put paragraph 3, and again, just the first few words, and then later on when I type it out, I'm going to write everything. Again, because the draft is not supposed to take a long time. It's just a guideline and assistance for you to be typing later on. It's just an outline to help you get started. Now that I have my evidence for reason 2, I'm moving on to my extend or explain. That's where I'm going to back up the fact that that evidence right there proves to me that her working hard led to her success. So I'm going to say that her being a good student set her up for a lifetime of success. All right, for my explain, I had said her scholarship allowed her to learn more and set her up for success. Notice how I put a 4 instead of the actual word for 4, because my draft is going to be pretty short, pretty quick. I'm going to use not complete sentences, not complete words sometimes, because this is just my outline that I'm using for later on when I type. Now I'm going to move on to paragraph 4, which is my conclusion. And a conclusion is where you take everything that you wrote and put it into one paragraph to remind your audience of what you're talking about and to pretty much convince them that that prompt right there is proven by your 2 reasons. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move those 2 reasons downward, and I'm going to think of other words for them, because whenever we read something, we don't want to use the same words over and over, because we don't talk like that in real life. So let's think of other words to say instead of mom worked long hours. I can say mom sacrificed her time. And instead of saying worked hard in school, I can say she was a STAAR student. And then when I type it out, I'm going to put it into a complete sentence. So let's do that. Now that I'm done with my draft, I can start typing it out. And that's where I'm going to make it beautiful. That's where I'm going to add my transition phrases and all of my evidence and add more to my explain. All right, so now that I have a document open, I'm going to first start off with my prompt without the question words. So it's gonna be the events in Sonia Sotomayor's life and all of that part right there. So let me go ahead and type that out. Usually you're going to put the word by or because. So let's see which one makes the best sense. The events in her life caused her to succeed because mom worked long hours or by mom worked long hours. I could say by mom working long hours. Either way, both of them are okay. You just have to make sure that you're putting it into a phrase that actually makes sense when you read it out loud. Or typically what I say is like mouth the words, because in tests you can't talk out loud. So let me go ahead and write the word because. And now I'm going to put in my 2 reasons. Because her mom worked long hours and then it's reason 2, and she worked hard in school. So notice how I had to put she worked hard. I didn't put it in my draft right there, but I noticed when I was typing it here that I didn't put it there. So this is what's good about putting a draft, this is what's good about creating a draft first. So you notice your mistakes here, so it sets you up for a better product when you actually type it out here. So now we're done with our introduction, otherwise known as paragraph 1. Now I'm going to hit enter, and now you'll see a little space in between, and that's going to tell you that we're on now paragraph 2. That's called body 1. To start off body 1, I'm going to use a transition word or transition phrase such as first of all or to begin with. Let's go ahead and start off with first of all. And whenever you do that, you put a comma afterwards. First of all, her mom worked long hours. After I typed that, I realized That's kind of similar to what I just said. Her mom worked long hours, and then again, her mom worked long hours. I don't want to use the same words, so I'm going to say her mom, or let's say she spent many hours at her job instead of at home. First of all, her mom spent numerous hours at work instead of being home. Next sentence is cite. That's where I'm going to start off by saying the text states, and then if it states that, that means they're not your words, so you need to put it in quotations. The text states, mother worked long hours as a nurse to support Sonia and her brother. I actually like the next sentence as well, where it says, despite the sadness and struggles, Sonia learned an important lesson from her mom: never give up. I'm going to include that second sentence as well in my evidence over here. Despite the sadness and struggles, Sonia learned an important lesson from her mom. Never give up. Now that I'm done with my cite, I can move on to my extend, which says more motivation for Sonia. So I'm going to take that and move it here, but I'm going to use the sentence starter, this shows me that, or this tells me. Let's go ahead and use this shows me. This shows me that Sonia's mom inspired her to be motivated and never quit just because things get hard. So see how my explain here is explaining how the evidence is important to the prompt? That's what explain is always going to be about. Just like last time, all we're going to do is press enter, enter. A lot of the time I say enter, enter, tab. Either way, as long as you have that space right there, that's indicating that we have another paragraph. We can put tabs, those are called indentions, but sometimes on the system that you use to take tests, it doesn't have tab. So in this case, I'm not going to put it. So to start off body 2, I'm going to start off by saying second of all, comma, Sonia worked hard in school. Just because last time for the cite I put the text states, I don't want to say that same phrase again. I'm going to say in paragraph blah, blah, blah. So let me find out where it was at. Actually, it says it here, paragraph 3. So let me go ahead and put that. Okay, just completed my cite that states that she attended her college and then she became a leader on campus and then became a lawyer. So to me, because she was great in school, it kind of set her up later on to become a judge in the end. So now I need to explain that. I'm going to start off my explain by saying this is important because. Just because I used last time, this shows me that. I don't want to say that part again. I'm going to use that other one. This is important because her earning that scholarship gave her that opportunity to learn at the best college and then later on have a great career. So even though last time in my draft over here, I said that her scholarship allowed her to learn more and set her up for success, I feel like I could improve that. That's why I changed it up here to say that her earning the scholarship gave her the opportunity to learn at the best college and then later on have a great career. To me, that seems like it proves her success a bit more than my original phrase over here. So that's what's cool about drafting first, because it shows you your mistakes and then makes you a better writer when you type it out. So next, we're moving on to our conclusion. So in our conclusion, we're going to type out our 2 reasons in different words. But I need my enter, and then I'm going to write in conclusion. In conclusion, comma. And then that's where I'm going to use my draft over here by saying in conclusion, and then use that sentence starter again by using the prompt, and then put in my 2 reasons. So let me show you how that's done. In conclusion, the events in Sonia Sotomayor's life caused her to succeed because she had a mother that had a demanding work schedule, and because she was a STAAR student while in school. In my conclusion, I kind of rearranged the words just a bit more to make it sound a little more clear. So instead of saying that her mom sacrificed time, I ended up saying that she had a mother that had a demanding work schedule, and because she was a STAAR student in school. To me, those are 2 reasons that set her up for success later on down the line. And then you'll see here that now we have 4 complete paragraphs that we used from our draft over there, and then that's how we complete an extended constructed response. All right, now the most commonly forgotten part. Reading it all in order to make sure it sounds good. So let's go ahead and start. The events in Sonia Sotomayor's life caused her to succeed because her mom worked long hours and she worked hard in school. First of all, her mom spent numerous hours at work instead of being home. The text states her mother worked long hours as a nurse to support Sonia and her brother. Despite the sadness and struggles, Sonia learned an important lesson from her mom: never give up. This shows me that Sonia's mom inspired her to be motivated and never quit just because things get hard. Second of all, Sonia worked hard in school. In paragraph 3, it states that she worked hard and earned a scholarship to Princeton University, one of the best colleges in the country. She studied even harder and became a leader on campus. After graduating from Princeton, Sonia went to Yale Law School, where she decided to become a lawyer. This is important because her earning that scholarship gave her that opportunity to learn at the best college and then later on have a great career. I kind of want to emphasize what her great career is because I didn't actually say what her career is besides the lawyer. And the most important part about Sonia Sotomayor is that she's a Supreme Court justice. So I would definitely want to include that. So let me go ahead and add on to this by saying, and then later on, have a great career being a Supreme Court justice appointed by President Obama, comma, becoming the first Latina justice. So see here that now that we read it when we were complete, now we're able to enhance it and make it sound even more convincing that her being a leader on campus and being so great in school led to her extreme success. It's not just really good success of being a lawyer or just being a judge. Now she's the first Latina Supreme Court justice that was appointed by President Obama. To me, that sounds a bit more like she succeeded. And remember, we're trying to back up the fact that our 2 reasons are good reasons to support our prompt. Let's move on to our conclusion. It says, in conclusion, the events in Sonia Sotomayor's life caused her to succeed because she had a mother that a demanding work schedule. Uh-oh, that doesn't sound good. What did I forget? In conclusion, the events in Sonia Sotomayor's life caused her to succeed because she had a mother that had a demanding work schedule and because she was a star student while in school. I kind of feel like I want to add on to this because your conclusion, yes, that's where you add in your 2 reasons and kind of restate what you just said and what you just talked about, but that's also your time to kind of further explain and make it sound even better to your audience. So let's go ahead and add some emotion. We can say, whenever you feel like, I don't want to say giving up because we already said the words give up. Whenever you feel like things get rough, just remember that other people also are having a difficult time, but you should never quit. It's always worth it. So let me read it all together. In conclusion, the events in Sonia Sotomayor's life caused her to succeed because she had a mother that had a demanding work schedule and because she was a star student while in school. Whenever you feel like things get rough, just remember that other people also are having a difficult time, but you should never quit. I need a comma right here for my compound sentence. It's always worth it. So see here that we don't absolutely need this,
But because we put that now, it takes our ECR to good. Now it's great. And to me, that is the end of our ECR. And that's how you are supposed to write it. Hope that helped.